Hello there, TNA fam, and welcome back to the impzonepod podcast. We're here again to talk more TNA wrestling shenanigans. Today, I want to talk about the wrestling company helping me suspend my disbelief. Look, if you come into wrestling and you know, hey, I'm gonna have to get into this and sort of suspend my disbelief, cool, great. That is what it is, and a lot of us do. A lot of us get invested in things sometimes. But if the company isn't helping you with that, then it's like, well, how can I suspend my disbelief if you're not helping me in doing that? If you present somebody or anything, whatever, an angle or a storyline or a match or something, that I'm seeing either in the arena or on TV or on pay-per-view, whatever it is. And basically there's a jobber going up against one of the guys in the ring. It doesn't even matter if it's one of the lower card guys. How am I meant to suspend my disbelief to say that the jobber will win? That is not helping me suspend my disbelief in thinking, oh yes, this jobber has a chance to win. You never say never and all those cliches in wrestling, but if I'm going into a match and if I get surprised at the end by the jobber winning, then okay, cool, great. But then you say, okay, cool, great. Now you've got this a guy who was a jobber being the champion or having won a match. So was that a fluke one-off or whatever? So you've got to then develop the story from there. So again, same thing. It's like, where's the story for this person? They've lost. So now show me their motivation. Show me what what they're going through to change the perception that they've got by either winning or by having a story that is based upon them being quote unquote not worthy or something or whatever else it is, but somehow they've gotten this opportunity or somehow they're wrestling this other person and it feels like they're going to finally get this moment where it's like, yes, they did get it and whatnot, because they've always fought hard, but no one's ever really believed in them because again, they've been traditionally in that role, or at least been in that role for a fairly long time of, no, I just lose matches and this is my role to, do this thing and to do that thing and to help other people who are more engaging with the crowd to get over and stay over and to help build the company. Everyone has a role, and I'm fine with everyone having a role. Like I say, I'm not saying that you can't have jobbers or you can't have, mid-card jobbers or you can't have, main event jobbers or whatever else it is effectively. I'm just saying, when you present something to the fans, if you haven't built somebody up sufficiently, then I can't suspend my disbelief. So you've got to help me suspend that disbelief by saying, okay, cool, we're going to present this person in the manner in which that means that people can suspend their disbelief because this person has won matches or has a story, has something a lot behind them, not just, oh, well, we decided to do this month and okay, here we go. Of course, I'm not going to invest, in somebody doing that because you've just turned around and said, oh, yes, well, we don't have any other plans or whatever, and now we're going to push this person and we're going to give them a few quick wins or whatever else it is and whatnot and hope that people invest. You can't do that. If you're going to have something like that, those things have already got to be in place for months and months and months, weeks and weeks and weeks. You've got to be building these things already. Again, everything needs to be building, way before now. So again, if you're going to start building something now, don't do it now. Like, it's way too late to start saying, okay, we're going to build this person for this, pay-per-view or whatever. No, you should have built them 6 months ago or whatever it was, and then you should have paid it off now, or they finally got the opportunity to get this match or whatever it is. So if I'm going into any show, like, that's the difference between like a TV show and like a pay-per-view or whatever. On TV, you might be able to get away with it more if somebody just comes out to challenge somebody, or if somebody, challenges somebody or whatever, week to week or whatever. That's a bit different, but because there's probably not as much build to it, and it doesn't really matter. But where's that going? You know what I mean? Like, if we're on the road from one pay-per-view to another, and they're basically a month apart, and the first week I say, hey, I'll challenge you to next week on next week's episode. Okay, cool. And then I've been traditionally a jobber or whatever. And then I win that match. Okay, cool. What does that mean then? Especially, like, maybe if you're the champion, I guess, or, whatever, then it might mean, hey, I get a title shot. Okay, cool. That's how we built it up. Instead of saying, I challenge you next week, say I challenge you this week on that day, either right now or in the main event or in the semi-main event or whatever else it is, something like that. Because, like, anything can main event a show basically for the most part anyway. So just either do it right then and right there. Like, I'm going to challenge you right here, right now, or I'm going to challenge you later on tonight in the main event, and I'm going to beat you. Okay, cool. Then you go on from there, and I challenge you either right then and right there, and I beat you, and then we go from there. Or we go to the main event, and I challenge you, and I beat you there. And then we go from there. So I think that saying waiting till next week, because again, the more time that you take to get to the destination, the quicker the turnaround for everything else has to be. So if your destination is, I beat you in some form or fashion or whatever else it is, do that as quickly as what possibly you can. Especially for a jobber, to say, hey, I beat you, and I can beat you again, or whatever else it is. Now we're going to have the contract signing, and I'm going to face you again, but this time at the pay-per-view, and it's going to now be for the title, and your story is, oh, that was a big fluke or whatever else it was. My story is, well, anything can happen, blah, blah, blah. Now you're building a story. Now you're building an angle. Now there is some amount of, direction and some amount of suspense, because, you might think, oh, yes, this person's been a traditional jobber or whatever else it is. And even if it's this is not something to build them up, long term or whatever else it is, it might be something to test the waters with, that might be the case. But if this is the third or fourth time that you've run this sort of thing, then it's well, obviously we've seen this again before. So again, same thing. If you've had somebody and you've said, okay, well, we're going to give you a 1 month build to a title shot or something, or 1 month build to a major match or a major story or a major payoff, and you've done that 2 or 3 times, it's cool. It hasn't done anything the 2 or 3, 4, 5, whatever times it's been that you've done that. Nothing's happened. Nothing's changed. They're still in the same position of being in that jobber position. They haven't won the belt, or they haven't, achieved anything significant. So again, they're just back into the position that they're in. So again, then I'm even less inclined to believe in that person, because I've seen this before with this person, and I know, hey, they didn't do it last time or whatever it was. So why would I be invested this time? You know what I mean? You can fool me once or twice, maybe, at a certain point, you either have to pull the trigger and say, oh, okay, cool, we've got to do it this time, or we've got to do it, this way this time, because, if we don't, give this a payoff of some sort, then the fans are never going to believe in this person. I think 3 strikes ultimately and you're out type thing, or best out of 3 sort of thing. If you've challenged somebody or something, or you've done things more than 3 times, then that means to me, hey, this is your role. If you lose once, it's like, oh, especially like on proper TV, not on like Explosion perhaps, but like, or whatever, the B show or the C show or whatever. If you lose more than 3 times on the major show and on pay-per-view, it's like, oh, okay, cool. This person is in that role. That's it. They're not going to get out of this role, and now I'm no longer investing in this person because I can see the role that they have, and their role is to put everybody else over and make everyone else look good. That's fine if that's their role, but now I'm no longer going to invest in them unless there is significant difference in the way you're portraying them, in the way that they've been booked, in stories, and in matches. If I cannot believe in this person because of the way you present them, then you shouldn't be mad at me, or you shouldn't say, oh, well, why weren't people investing? Why weren't people suspending their disbelief? Because you gave us nothing to suspend our disbelief on. You expected us to care or to invest in this person when you didn't supply us with the time and the reasons for us to say, oh, okay, this person's gaining a bit of momentum. They've won a match finally. Oh, they've won 2 matches. Oh, wow, okay. They've rarely won more than a couple of matches, at a time. Okay, cool. Something's going on here. So what's happening? Is this person getting a push, or what's going on? Oh, they've won another match. Okay, so this is a push. Okay, where's this going? What's happening with this person? This is obviously a slow build to something. Like we're going somewhere with this. 4th time. Okay, cool. We're still kind of doing the same thing, but that's okay because what you're trying to do is you're trying to put finally some legitimacy under this person's belt, or whatever. They've suddenly gone on a 4 or 5 match winning streak, or whatever else it is. Okay, cool, great. Now where are we going? Now you've actually got to start saying, like, what was the goal with this? Was it just to put somebody over again? Or was it, to actually really test the waters and say, would people accept this? Would people be interested? Would people care? Or whatever? Would this move the needle, so to speak? So again, that is where like people's like engagement comes in, and it's like you're only as good as what you put effort into. It's the same thing from the talent, not just from the booking. If you come out there, and this can work for you in some ways, but again, if you come out there with no confidence, unless that's part of your character or part of like kind of your downtrodden and whatever else it is and whatnot, why am I meant to believe in you, or whatever? If you're looking like, oh, I'm a big loser or whatever else it is, and I suck, and I'm just like, I don't even know what I'm doing here anymore, bro. I've lost the way, or doesn't seem like I even really care. Like, I'm just tuned out, whatever, seemingly. Then obviously, why would I invest and again, same thing, if you're out there phoning it in, sort of thing. It's like, again, why would I care if you're phoning it in? You're saying I don't care, so why should I care? Why would I invest in you if you're out there being like, yep, whatever, blah blah blah, and like, working smart is not just saying we're not going to work hard. Like we're still trying to work hard, but we're trying to do it in a smart way, you know, of saying, hey, we're like, especially if you're older, hey, we're not going to take a lot of those big bumps or whatever else it is, so, and, but yet we've still got to do things. So how can we do things that, help have somebody else have those big time moments or whatever else it is. And it hurts as well when it's like somebody's injured or somebody has gotten hurt in the match or something like that, or even before the match or leading up to the match or whatever it is. You can only do so much with somebody who's either injured before that or injured in the match. So that can also change what you're going to do or how you are going to do it. Sometimes you can have somebody battle through things and get through to the finish or whatever else it is, so to speak. But again, it's a big effort for somebody to have to do that usually. So again, it's not advised, because again, it's you risking even more injury by going out there injured, or even more severe injury by going out there. So it's just not advisable, honestly. So there's just a lot to go wrong there. So, but yeah, I think, yeah, again, there's so many elements to wrestling and to everything in life, really. But again, to wrestling and to me believing in a character or in a person to say, hey, why would I invest my energies into this? Like, if this is a new character, or if that's why you've got to have these new spins on characters or new face turns, baby face turns, or whatever sometimes, because it's like, well, that character that you were just playing has traditionally, or for the most part, been in this role. So now we're hoping this babyface turn or this heel turn will, facilitate, or we're actually going to book you in this heel turn to be this monster killer now, or whatever else it is. You've turned over a new leaf and all this, or doing all this stuff now, or whatever else it is. And now, okay, cool, we're gonna present you like a killer, and you're gonna win, left, right, and center. And, like, you're gonna beat 2 or 3 guys, or you're gonna beat, whatever it is. You're just gonna mow through people, as much as possible. We're gonna bring in some enhancement guys, and of course, like, people know, oh, well, obviously you're gonna beat the enhancement guys or whatever. But still, like, yeah, we're going to bring in those enhancement guys just to give you a few wins quickly. And then, okay, cool, we're finally going to give you somebody that's actually active on our roster, that, like, has some stuff under their belt. And then we're going to, you're going to win that. And then, like, most of this is being on TV. And then finally we're going to, like, give you, like, a story with somebody to build you up even more, and say, okay, cool, you're gonna win that, and then you're gonna, then we're gonna see where we're at, and then are we gonna put a title on you, or are we gonna find a big time feud for you to actually be somebody and something and somewhere, and be in that picture, or whatever. Because again, like, at the end of the day, that's what you've got to do. You've got to say, okay, let's roll the dice, because we need more people in these positions, and you cannot, like, miss on anybody. You have to be trying to hit with every single person, and that's why you've got to have a whole bunch of things going on all the time. You've got to have a whole bunch of people that are at that top or near at that top, that people can go, oh, okay, cool, wow, like, all these guys are coming closer and closer and closer to that position, or whatever else it is, no matter what division it is, whether it's tag team division, whether it's the women's division, whether it's
the men's division. Like you've still got to have your other bit players, but that's what happens when you bring in other people. It's like, oh, okay, cool. We brought in this person or this team or whatever else it is. They're going to serve as the jobbers for now, and then we'll see how they go performance wise, and see if people start gravitating towards them or not. So, or what we can do with them, So, and sometimes certain things are done, like, again, like some things are done to be like, well, this is the story that we're trying to tell, or whatever else it is as well. It's not just done to say, oh, well, we didn't like that, or you've lost too much, or we've seen you in this role too much, or whatever it is. But it's like, yeah, like, obviously, we're just trying things out, and we're seeing where fans are going to react to or not, and what suits you best, or what suits this unit, this team, this faction, whatever it is, or whatever suits our narrative purpose. And that's why, again, like, everything should be for our narrative purpose. We should be in control of our narrative purpose. You cannot be in control of your narrative purpose if WWE is saying, no, this is what we want to happen with these people, or whatever, and especially if they're like also self-sabotaging those people in some form, in some fashion. It's like, if they're over there on, well, not, I don't want to say the competition, but the competition or the other brand being like putting somebody as through a jobber or in that position, and then you're told, hey, we want this guy or these gals or whatever else it is to be on your show and be legitimate. Okay, that's really going to be tough for us since you're treating them like a jobber on your TV. So how are we meant to give them legitimacy when you're not giving them legitimacy? This is a two-way street. So the more we give them legitimacy, the worse it looks for us in some ways. It makes our wrestlers look worse than your jobbers, because they can't get the job done against these guys. That, or we've got to say, well, WWE just doesn't give opportunities to people, and we actually do. That's where you've got to find like that little nugget where it's like, yes, maybe WWE didn't give this person, or doesn't give this person, the fair shake of the stick, or whatever it is, and maybe that's part of their motivation, so, and maybe somebody should shoot in, like, or, shoot in kayfabe, should say, hey, Shawn Michaels told me to go, or whatever, Triple H told me to go to whatever, and but they set me up, or whatever, try to make it work within kayfabe. Don't say, oh, they told me to lose, or whatever, in 8 seconds, or whatever it was, or whatever it is, we're under a minute, or whatever it is, or whatever, but you've got to, yeah, so I don't know how you could do that exactly, but yeah, again, like, if you're having, people coming and going from other places, it's like even more difficult, because it is like, well, we can't control their booking over there. So in a sense, we've got to have a sense of saying, well, that's doesn't apply to our universe. So that isn't part of our canon, so to speak. And like, it was a lot easier back in the day, like before the internet and before everyone could watch, really nationally, like all the shows together at the same time and see or even know about. And same with social media. It's made the wrestling space a much more smaller world where everyone can know everything at any given time, basically, now. So it's a lot harder for you to pretend like this person or that person didn't lose in 5 seconds or whatever it was. Again, it doesn't matter, but that they haven't been on a losing streak for like the last 2 years, 3 years, or whatever it's been. Basically. So it's like, oh yes, now we're meant to bring them over here and treat them like they're a legitimate threat. They're not going to feel like a legitimate threat because like their history has been they're losers. Perhaps like you could say, oh well, now they're coming here because they haven't been given the opportunities, or that they feel like, oh, they could have done more, but they haven't really gotten those opportunities, and now they're just going to take them or whatever, so they're more dangerous or whatever it was, and now they're cheating and doing all this other stuff or whatever it is, which works well for the heel faction or whatever it is. So that can work. Obviously that is something that they're trying to do, but it is again difficult because it is hampered by the fact that you're again got these guys who are there that are like, oh man, everyone know, and their mom knows these guys are basically just jobbers. So it's like that lowers the legitimacy of. Sometimes it lowers the legitimacy just of the person, but sometimes it lowers the legitimacy of the overall perception of the brand, the title, or anything else that is associated with it. Oh, this guy, this guy's beating all the TNA guys, even if it's by hook or by crook or by shenanigans or whatever else it is. Oh, well, he's a jobber, so obviously all the TNA guys are all, sub jobbers or whatever else it is or whatnot. So it's painting that bad picture of things, like so, which can work for a a good baby face or whatever else it is, but it's also one of those things of saying, well, if people have the perception that they're jobbers or whatever else it is, then you've got to find somebody that is the ultimate non-jobber kind of thing to come out of that. But again, whatever, it is what it is. So again, like, it is that investment that comes from the fans in those arenas and on those TVs, whether that's on pay-per-view or whatever else it is, on the just weekly TV or whatever. So you've got to make people believe, and you've got to like be believable, and you've got to have a whole lot, going for you. You can't just have a few days worth of build, or maybe a few weeks worth of build for me to be like, oh yeah, we can see where this might go. Like, again, you need to be showing me and telling me kind of thing that these guys are a big deal, because otherwise, like, yes, shock wins are great sometimes, but again, mostly you want people to feel like this was earned, or this was like not destined to happen, or it was bound to happen or whatever, but it was like, yeah, I could see this happening because this person has had a story, and maybe they lost here and there, but they've had big wins as well. You still feel like this person's on that trajectory, and you feel like they could get there, and whatnot. So, yeah, that's what you've got to craft for these people. That sense of, no, this person can do it. They can, beat that person or whatever else it is. They've come so close in the past, or they did beat them in the past, or whatever it was. And that's why sometimes getting that visual pin or whatever is so important sometimes in matches, is to show that person would have beat this person in this match, but then something happened, and then, shenanigans, they cheated or whatever else it was or whatnot. Someone came down and distracted them or whatever it was, and then the other person won or whatever it was. So again, having that, having people go, oh, but he got the visual pin on them, that's especially good for a baby face, to do and to get, so that later on down the track you get back to that and you say, boom, here we go. People know that he could have beat him, now he beats him. So yeah. But anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I hope you join me again in another one.